So, one of the things that my partner and I have been exploring in this dynamic of sacred union, we've been exploring a lot how he, as a masculine, tends to my bloom, the space that he holds, and the ways that his honoring his truth helps to open me, creates enough gentle resistance for me to recognize where my blocks are so that I can open more fully. And even that dynamic itself is one that is so beautiful. What has become clear to me is that when you're in a relationship of sacred union, well, I mean, it's true in every relationship that we will be mirrors for each other. We will each hold certain keys to the other's shadow. And we are mirrors. And when you're in a relationship of sacred union, the desire that both individuals in the relationship hold is to remove these blocks that create layers of separation. It's to identify and dissolve the layers of separation to move more and more into union. And what I found to be so beautiful and profound in this experience is that the way that we hold the key, the way that this reflection works, is that when I have a wound inside or an incomplete emotional cycle inside that I'm unaware of, I will naturally express and do things as a result of that with my partner. I will interact in certain ways with my partner as a result of that. And when I do that, it'll make him feel a certain way. When he is able to identify how that makes him feel, and he's able to honor, step forward and share with me how that makes him feel, I've actually made him feel the way that I felt inside when that very first wound happened to me way back when. I've actually created a situation where that feeling can be mirrored at me by somebody that I love. And it creates a really beautiful heart opening to see somebody that you love feeling that thing when you feel that resonance inside of you. Sometimes it feels like resistance. And the beautiful work is recognizing, what is it inside of me that, what is that, right? And then doing an exploration, it brings light to that thread so that you can explore it where previously it was unknown. So our ability to receive what our partner is doing and to honor and express how we feel with them is a gift that allows them to look within to what their inner experience is and what may be left unprocessed inside. And it's also a beautiful practice of opening and softening to receive both what our partner is doing and when our partner reflects to us what they feel. Because a lot of times the initial response is, you're doing this thing and it hurts me and I'm going to create a wall here because I don't want you to do that. And it's a layer of separation. It's a wall, right? We don't want to let it in. We feel like if we let it in, it's going to hurt us, right? If you can allow yourself to be that mirror for your partner, to bring it in, allow yourself to feel it, and reflect to them what you're feeling, you're giving them a gift. And in a relationship where both partners are aware of the work that they're doing and what's being reflected, that is received. And it helps that person grow and open. And when you as the partner are aware of these things and able to receive, a lot of times what we want to do is, well, that wasn't my intention. Like, oh, I didn't mean to hurt you that way. My intention was this. And what we expect is, when I tell you my intention, a lot of times we think that, well, that then you shouldn't feel that way anymore. The emotion should get set aside because that wasn't my intention. It doesn't matter if it was our intention. That's what was felt. And if we can allow ourselves to receive what was felt, not all the time, but often, there will actually be something inside of us that's being lit up, or that's asking for our attention as well. And being able to open and receive your partner in this way allows for both partners to feel really understood and really seen and really felt. And this kind of brings me to another really beautiful understanding that I've received from this beautiful dynamic with my partner, is that in order for the feminine within any of us to receive, she has to feel safe. She has to feel felt. So one of the things that I first noticed in my inner work, bringing my masculine to my inner feminine, is that if I was coming to her with rationale or an expectation or any sort of, coercing or anything other than expansion and allowing her to be whatever she needed to be, she would close up and she wouldn't respond. And I find this is true whether I'm working with men or women. This is what happens in that feminine realm. And I found it to be true with my partner and I as well. It's something that has been mentioned quite often in with relationship coaches, and women experience this very often, where if my partner comes to me and there is any expectation other than exploring pleasure, if there's a goal of an orgasm, or if there's a goal of achieving something, my body feels it. It is completely an energetic thing. My body feels it and it shuts down, right? Our inner feminine is the same, and it's the same in relationship between a man and a woman. When dealing with the feminine, the first key is seeking out the feeling, seeking out the emotion. Allow her to be felt. Allow her to feel seen. This is what the feminine needs to open. Allow her to feel safe. Create a safe space for her to be felt and seen. And she will open and soften so that she can receive you. And she can receive any experience that you're having. And this kind of brings me to the next thing. My partner had asked me, well, if I'm tending to you and I'm feeling you and I'm creating this safe space and I'm tending to these things, I'm creating these experiences, I'm leading, I'm doing all these things. I mean, well, yeah, that would feel great for anyone. What am I getting in return? And it wasn't in a selfish thing. He was just curious because he felt like, well, love is not guaranteed, because I can absolutely tend to someone and maybe they're not ready to open, or maybe something happens, and love isn't a guarantee. So what is it truly that I'm getting? And, I didn't truly have a clear answer for him to begin with. And I can't remember exactly what I kept coming up with. I would come up with something and he'd go, oh yeah, okay, that makes sense. Then he would come back and be like, well, I remember you answered this, but I can't remember what it was. And then I would forget and kind of stumble around and then finally land on it at some point. And he'd go, oh yeah, okay, that's what it was. But it wasn't landing for either one of us. It wasn't getting to the core. And what I see a lot, and because I was kind of looking externally of people who are in these relationships, how does the masculine talk about his beautiful feminine partner? And it's like, she's playful and she's joyful and she brings this light and this, she brings this joy to my life. She brings this, it's a beautiful feminine essence that's brought to life, right? But none of these things were really we had talked about how she fully receives him so that he can feel fully accepted and fully held. And I think that was the thing where he's like, oh, okay, that feels good, right? But it wasn't landing. It wasn't truly anchoring in there. And one day after he had asked me this, I was driving and I kind of projected our relationship into the future. And I thought to myself, what is it that I imagine he would have said about me at this future point? And what came to me was that he reflected, she brought me to life. And that resonated really, really deeply. And so I just kind of sat with it for a little while. It just, time had passed. I didn't share that with him at that point. But what I realized recently is that it is the feminine within us all that brings us to life. It is the feminine that weaves and breathes life into all things. And that is the gift of the feminine. But if the feminine is closed, if her waters are not flowing, if her flower is not bloomed, her essence cannot be shared. And so it takes that tending, both of ourselves, our own inner masculine, our own work, and that of our partner to bloom us. We have to be willing to open. We've got to work enough on those spaces, those shields within us, to be willing to open. But when we move into partnership, I can tell you firsthand, I've been doing inner union work, just consistently, deeply on my own for some time now. It's been a few years now. And the way that these things are reflected to us in union is different, because these incomplete cycles were originally created in our first relationships with our parents. And they're reflected, the depths of them are reflected when we move into union again. And so, this opening that we experience deepens when we are in relationship. All of those hard edges that we're still holding on to, all of these shields and this armor, it's going to be reflected to us. And so the masculine being able to tend this garden, to bloom, to bring his presence, to create a safe space for the feminine to soften into, for her to be seen, for her to express from her deepest emotional body, from her deepest feminine essence, allows her to open fully. And when I was sharing this with my partner, I was telling him, it's like when we say stop and smell the roses, that's a euphemism for truly living, right? And it's this essence that brings life, it breathes life into the masculine. His own internal feminine does this as well. In fact, the more deeply he cultivates his own inner feminine masculine relationship, the more that he can hold his partner, the more that he can cultivate that and feel that with his partner. And when I said to him the euphemism of stopping to smell the roses, he kind of made a reference to my yoni, the flower. And I later realized that the way that my partner honors and reveres and just has this deep love and cherishing, specifically of my yoni, it opens the feminine. This is the deepest feminine. That is the feminine crown. And so, men, the relationship that you have to your partner in sex and intimacy, when you're making love to her, the energy that you have and the relationship that you have to her yoni, to her sexual fluids, to her menstrual fluids, all of these things are part of how you hold and revere the feminine, part of how you cherish and tend to the feminine. And the more that you can open and embrace these aspects of the feminine, the more your woman is going to feel fully safe, fully held, to be fully experienced by you, to be able to fully open to receive you. You tend to her flower, not only with your consciousness and creating this space, but also in the intimacy that you hold with her and how you're able to cherish and fully experience every aspect of her. So yeah, these are just some of the beautiful realizations that I've had just this far in my journey of union with my partner. I would love to hear how these things resonate with you. And I would love to hear any resistances that you have to these things. And if you're curious about this inner journey with yourself, definitely go ahead and hop on to a call with me. We can explore how we can support this journey for you so that you can hold yourself and your partner with more deeper intimacy.